All right, pre-show cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show. Bronny James announces his commitment.
Bill Belichick out to get the Jets.
And one of the greatest Anthem standoffs of all time. All of that and more. My name is Darren. That is AJ. And this is the DNA Sports Recap.
Roll the intro.
How's it going, man?
Doing good. Doing really good. Been a busy week, man. What about you?
It's been good. It's been a good week.
Lots happening. We got all kinds of things to talk about today.
All right, so where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the NBA?
Yeah, let's go into it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and first start with Bronny James. So he made the announcement via Instagram on Saturday, April 29th, of where he's going to play, which is USC.
So, Bronny commits to USC. He's the number 19 recruit in the country, which is kind of surprising being he's a LeBron James kid.
Yeah, number 19 out of the ESPN Top 100.
Yeah.
Some others have him ranked actually a little lower than that, in the mid-20s.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's awesome. I love that he stays home in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I look forward to him playing in the Pac-12, being that, we're here in Salt Lake City. So,
oh, that's a good point.
Could you imagine the USC game when they come to Utah? Almost guaranteed that game's sold out.
Yeah, guaranteed it's sold out, and guaranteed Bronny's resting. Because that's just how things go for us.
And he's a James.
That's true. Yeah. So Bronny's a 6'3" point guard from Cleveland who played last year at Sierra Canyon High School. Like you mentioned, he's ranked 19th. He's actually considered a top 5 point guard prospect in the country. And he is a class 2023 McDonald's All-American.
Yep.
So
some interesting thing is after the Bronny commitment is then you get DJ Rodman. He commits there. He's the son of Dennis Rodman.
Seriously?
He was a senior. He was averaging just about 10 points, 6 rebounds, and shooting 38% from 3. He also commits to USC after Bronny James commits.
Dennis, you need to get a DNA test. You couldn't hit the 3 for a leg.
And then for USC, they get Isaiah Collier, who's the number 1 recruit in the 2023 class.
Oh, wow.
His stock kind of rose throughout the season. He was originally kind of rated in the 20s to 30s.
Mm-hmm.
He's climbed all the way up to the number 1 recruit in this high school class,
wow.
And he just commits to USC. So they're kind of stacking that team up. USC is definitely looking to make a run this year.
Yeah, wow, okay. So probably go down with the Pac-12 with a bang, right? This is their last year in the conference, right?
Yep, exactly.
Wow. Well, hey, I think that's awesome. Here's one thing I do want to kind of talk about because you mentioned LeBron James. He talked about how he always wants to play with his kid, right, in the NBA. Do you see Bronny being a one-and-done kid? I don't see him not being a one-and-done kid.
Oh, he's 100% one-and-done.
Yeah.
There's no way, especially because he knows LeBron wants to play with him. He's going to go get his 1-year eligibility and get his complete his 1 year, and then he's off to the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. The funny thing is that LeBron was quoted as saying, "Well, that's my dream. That's not necessarily his dream.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let him do what he wants." He's like, if the stars align, great, but that's what his goal is.
Really. The kid's a fantastic player. He's thought of as one of the best perimeter defensive players coming out of high school.
Wow.
So he's a great defensive player. Obviously, he's got the crazy athleticism that comes from just being a James, right? Does his stock get high enough where I think he's, potentially a draft pick? I think that's probably what's really going to tell it. Right. Because really, if he's not going to be drafted, if he tanks the season and just doesn't play well, some of the rumors are right now that he may not even start for this USC team. They have a really stacked team. They've had, a couple of pretty high school recruits. They're already on the roster, and USC actually made a pretty good run last year. Does he actually not start? Highly unlikely, but it's rumored that he could be coming off the bench for that team.
Even if he does, I don't think that really affects his draft capital.
I
don't really. How many players? Trey Lyles wasn't a starter, and he was drafted in the top 20, right? So
absolutely.
I could see it. I could see it definitely be something that he might be worried about. I don't know. I don't think it really affects anything. I think if he does start, fantastic. He could be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't start, I still see him going in the lottery.
I think the big thing would be is people know that LeBron James is coming up on the end of a contract, and they know that by drafting Bronny, you have a chance to get LeBron.
True.
You know what I mean? So I think that raises your draft capital right there. Teams in, you know what I mean, they might be jumping up to get him just thinking, hey, LeBron, we got Bronny over here. You know, your contract's expired. Where are you heading?
Is there a chance? Is there a snowball chance, and you know where that's the Lakers aren't going to somehow swing it to where they can make sure that they're in position to draft Bronny?
I think there's definitely a chance.
I don't think the NBA doesn't make it so. I think the NBA makes it so that is a likelihood that the Lakers are the one drafting him.
I mean, you know all the rumors about the NBA being scripted.
Oh yeah, and the clutch sports, and you know how we basically So I definitely see that. But one thing that kind of just bothers me a little bit about LeBron James' comment when it comes to this is, did you hear his response to him announcing the USC selection? Is that he mentioned that Bronny will be the first one in his family to go to college, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, come on, man. The only reason why he's the first one is because you didn't want to go to college.
Yeah, it's not that you couldn't have gone to college.
There's not a single D1 school that wouldn't have been like, hey, we'll race, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I also really like that he's like, because his mom didn't go to college, obviously LeBron didn't go to college. In all reality, Bronny's probably going to be one and done kid, so he's not even going to be having a degree anyway.
He's only kind of in college.
So it's basically kind of in college, yeah.
Yeah.
He's basically a recruiter for the school, basically, when it all gets said and done.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully he gets all that, you know, $7.6 million that he's reported to be as far as his NIL money.
Yeah.
So he gets it all in 1 year, and then he, you know, he doesn't have a great year, so what? He's, you know, 7 point whatever million richer, and he's in the draft, and he declares for the draft and see what happens. So
yeah,
fantastic. So anything else you got on that story at all?
Nope, that's it. That's what I had.
Right. I think that's fantastic. I did not know the rest of that about the
everybody else
going to USC. That's insane. Rodman's kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, was playing at Washington State. Had a stellar season. I mean, was really contributing to like a Washington State team that was kind of up and coming.
Yeah.
And ends up entering the transfer portal and is going to use his final year of eligibility at USC.
Yeah, watch that. He probably just greatly improved his drafting capital by
guaranteed, dude.
Yeah, I guarantee that. So that's crazy. All right, well, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and shift from the college game into the NBA.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Dillon Brooks. We mentioned on a previous episode about how it was released by Shams that in his exit interview, he was told that they would not be going forward with him on the team under any circumstances.
Right.
First of all, let me get your take on that. How do you feel about that part alone?
I think that Dillon Brooks totally did this to himself. 100%.
Okay.
I mean, all of the talk, all of the going at superstars. I get it. The dude's as unlikable as he is. He's a serviceable defensive player. He's not a great shooter, and I think that's kind of probably some of the reason that they're going to move away from him.
Yeah.
The thing is with Ja Morant being such a ball-dominant guard, you have to have someone that he can pass the ball to and knock a shot down when he's being double-teamed. And Dillon Brooks is just not that guy.
No, he's also not enough of a playmaker to create his own shot.
Well, exactly. I mean, and he only shot 33% from three last year.
Right.
I mean, 1 for 3. You're begging teams to slough off and just add more pressure to Ja, which is just not going to help him.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that he had when it came to that statement is, first of all, I mean, who says that? Like, where's that coming from? Under any circumstances? Like, who with the team said that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, come on. You know, I mean, I get it. I would not blame the Grizzlies from just moving on from him.
Right.
But to say it in that, and then Shams, he's a pretty well credited person.
Absolutely.
I mean, he knows his stuff.
He's an NBA insider.
Yeah, I mean, he knows exactly what he's talking about. And outside the NBA, he's a very well credited person for leaking information. But as far as leaking information, but like getting the inside scoop,
has some pretty reliable sources in most places.
So, but it's also been reported. So, have you heard the new news about Dillon Brooks?
What you got?
Okay, so it's now been reported that the main reason why the Memphis Grizzlies were not considering moving forward with him is it's been reported by ESPN broadcaster that Brooks and his agent are looking for a $25 million AAV contract.
I did see that.
$25
that's also in my notes.
million.
Yeah.
Do you know who makes $25 million this year?
Who?
Draymond Green.
No way.
Yeah. So he's basically painting his narrative that he wants to be the next Draymond Green.
Yeah.
And this is definitely something that's been going on for him for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, in his early years, it was reported how much he looked up to Draymond Green, how he wanted to be that type of player for the Grizzlies when he came out of Oregon.
Yeah. And I think, you know, regardless, Draymond brings a lot more to the table than Dylan Brooks does. Simply because his scoring potential, his ability to guard 1 through 4, not 1 through 4, 1 through 5.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if, you know, I didn't catch a whole lot of Dylan Brooks defensively, but
Dylan Brooks did make the all-defensive second team this year, so he's...
Oh, so he is elite.
He's pretty elite. Yeah.
He's elite defense. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he's top probably 5 at his position in defense.
My goodness. Okay, stand corrected.
Yeah.
I mean, he lacks what Draymond provides on the offensive end. He also lacks some of the advanced statistics that Draymond actually led the league in, and it's not even close. Do you know how many charges he's taken in the postseason?
It's
just
probably
Draymond Green?
A ton. I have no idea.
He's taken 10.
10.
The next closest is 6.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah. He's taken 10 charges. His ball screening, all the other, you know, the stuff that's not going to meet the stop
Draymond's
stream.
a Swiss Army knife, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why the Warriors have continued to be successful, is because of him being willing to go out there and do whatever it takes to win a basketball game.
Yeah, and he keeps it on the court. He does talk in the press conference and stuff like that, but he doesn't. What he says is not so outlandish that it doesn't have any, you know, bearing in reality.
Yeah.
So
I personally think Draymond is kind of like pretty entertaining to watch. Like, have you ever listened to his podcast?
Oh my gosh, yes. My favorite line from that is, "The dynasty starts after you, not with you."
Yeah.
That's probably going to be some Nostradamus type stuff right there, because that's probably going to be the case. I just thought that was pretty funny. A lot of people are saying, you know, posting like memes and videos about him potentially going to play for the Shanghai Sharks, because, I mean, that's not coming from him or any interest from, but like, Chinese teams are now recreating his little pre-game walkout thing, little dance that he was doing.
So, funny story on that. If he does end up leaving the NBA, can't get a contract somewhere, he is currently plus 300 to join the Shanghai Sharks.
Are you serious?
I am
The
not.
odds. Wow.
There's betting odds on where he lands if he does not get an NBA contract.
I still don't see him not getting an NBA contract, though. I still think there's
already
plenty.
teams. I mean, the Pistons have already mentioned that they have interest in him.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, saying that it's probably the Detroit Pistons or it's a team that like that. I can even see him in Sacramento, to be honest with you, just simply because you're going to need somebody. The biggest problem Sacramento ran into is they had very little perimeter defense.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want your all-star player, your all-star point guard to be having to burn it on both ends. You know, so
I just don't know if Sacramento can afford to pay him $25 million
I don't
a
think
year.
nobody's
if that's
paying
what he's
him.
asking.
Nobody's paying him that.
Yeah.
No.
Especially because it's not like you're going to skimp on a contract for De'Aaron Fox.
No.
After the season that he just had, or Domantas Sabonis after the season he just had.
They already have a
there's some
Draymond
other
Green.
really good players on that team.
Sacramento already has a villain. So
Yeah.
To me, I think that's a good lighting place for him. I think as a guard that, you know, an offensive-minded guard, I think that's what Sacramento was missing.
Yeah.
But I honestly, my first pick would have been Detroit. I think that's probably where he ends up.
And I think they actually have cap space to pay him that ridiculous money. So there's probably good chances that's where he does end up, but I don't know.
I don't think
pretty
he gets
interesting.
anywhere near that. I think he's sub 15 mil a year.
And I was thinking he was probably around 15.
Yeah, so around
like
15.
max.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think, dude, Jordan Clarkson makes $17 million a year right now.
Yeah,
You're
and that guy's
trying to tell me that he's even
worth
comparable
$8 million
to
more than Jordan Clarkson. I mean, I was super surprised by that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you're kidding me. $25 million is what you're wanting? You know?
That's what I'm worth. Note to
That's
self,
what I'm
go
worth.
to work and tell him I'm worth as much as Dylan Brooks is.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. And with all the all NBA teams coming out, we talked about this on a previous episode.
Yep.
One of the key subjects we talked about was Jaylen Brown. He does make all NBA, so therefore he is eligible for the Supermax. Does he get it?
I just don't know if Boston is going to pay him an actual Supermax contract. I think he gets kind of a Rudy Gobert style contract where, yes, he's eligible all the way up to that, but I don't think they pay him all the way to the Supermax level.
Agreed. I think you don't want to hang all your hopes on. I mean, I think he's worth. I think he's worth it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Boston's going to go that far because they still have to pay. They still got to keep that team together somehow, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and stay with that and stay with Boston, and let's talk about the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and first talk about the series that is definitely one that you and I both got wrong. So let's go ahead and start with the 76ers and the Celtics. Right now, the 76ers lead this series 3-2. I believe the game is tonight. So you will already know what happens on whether or not the 76ers send this one to bed tonight. They are playing at home. One thing I do know for sure is the 76ers do not want to go to the Garden in a Game 7. So,
yeah, no, that is definitely not their plan. I mean, the 76ers want to put this thing away because if it goes back to Boston, that's how I see this going, though. Mm-hmm. I think Boston takes one tonight, and it goes back for Game 7, and Boston closes it out. I'm still going to call Boston to win it at this point.
There's two variables that you got to that comes into play with this game and specifically this series. And you folks watching this, by the time you see this, the game will already be over, so you'll know which one of these two variables actually play out. First one is we just talked about him. Jaylen Brown has not been shooting enough this series.
Yeah.
He's averaging less than 15 shot attempts a game in this series. In the previous series, he was averaging 23 to 24 shots per game. The highest he got was 24 shots per game, attempts per game.
Yeah.
And in this series, he's averaging less than 15 shots a game. Like that's my first. Are they going to create some more opportunities for Jaylen Brown to get some shot attempts up? He's shooting over 50% from the floor and 50% from the 3-point line. So I don't understand why his attempts aren't there. You've got Jason Tatum, who is not shooting at 50% efficiency.
No.
So, I don't understand why that's not there. So that's one thing. If they get Jaylen, if they push it to Game 7, Jaylen's going to have a bigger impact on the offensive end. And the other piece is, which James Harden are we going to get?
That's just it. James Harden, the way that the 76ers have gone the way of Harden this series. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, Joel Embiid's had some great games. He's come out, he's shown that's the reason he's MVP Embiid.
Right.
Have you seen that? Like MVP and then it's like IED.
Oh, MVP.
MVP ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I am just never going to bet on James Harden ever.
On a previous episode, we talked about James Harden before the series started, and we both kind of agreed that James Harden will have one good game, and then that'll basically be it.
Yeah.
What happened in Game 1 is, first of all, Embiid was out, so there's no reason why the Sixers shouldn't have taken that game. They didn't. He ended up scoring 46 points that game. James Harden did. And then the next couple games, he was awful from the field. Like, he was shooting well below 30% from the field.
He was James Harden.
Yeah. And then, in the overtime win the 76ers had, he scored 46 points, was shooting over 50% from the field and 50% from three in both Game 1 and the overtime game, which I believe was Game 4?
Yeah.
Game 4. So I think that's going to be the key piece there is whichever James Harden we get is going to decide it. If we get the typical James Harden that doesn't show up, that's inefficient, then yeah, we're gonna see a Game 7 in the Garden. But if we get a Game 1 or Game 4, James Harden, this series ends tonight.
I think even if we get a Game 1 or Game 4 James Harden that puts up 37, the biggest issue with that is for him to get those points, like you're setting yourself up for failure because dude, this guy can go cold in an instant. And when James Harden goes cold, it is like the depths of Antarctica cold.
Yeah, I agree. And the worst part is he can't make he can't make the adjustment to become a facilitator where you can't make a shot.
No.
Like in that case, that's what you would do is you would basically just run pick and rolls, and then when they slack on you, you drop it into Embiid, or just let him pick and pop because he's like 34% or 35% from three this year.
He's a good enough shooter that you're willing to throw it out to him and chance them leaving him wide open.
Yeah. So you think this one goes 7 games and goes back to Boston?
That's my call.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like that to happen because I think we have a great opportunity.
And I hate the Sixers.
I'd love to. Well, they got 3 unlikable guys. Embiid's not a very likable person.
No.
Obviously, James Harden's not a likable person.
Yeah.
Also, PJ Tucker's not well liked. So that's 3 players that aren't well liked. They're all on one team.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard pass for me.
They're like the Phoenix Suns of the East. So, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I see. Unfortunately, I see this. I don't see the 76ers losing 2 games in a row.
No.
No. I think this is Embiid's chance. This is his year. His only chance to. This is his MVP year. This is his only year to be eligible for the MVP. This is good based off the new rules. This is his best shot because after this, James Harden's gone. He's going to be in Houston if they don't win. So I don't think they lose twice. And the main reason why is because of it's going to be a coaching matchup. Can you imagine how much Will Hardy is just sitting there kicking himself right now, being like, man, if I would have just stayed.
Yeah.
That talented team would be I bet you he's watching these games going like, what are you doing? Like, I can't even name the coach, Boston's head coach. But yeah, I think it's going to be, I think Doc Rivers going to be able to outcoach Boston. So that's just my thing. I don't really think they're going to lose 2 games in a row. I hope I'm wrong because I'd love to see Boston continue on. Moving on, let's go to the Lakers Golden State Warriors series. The Lakers are leading that series 3-2 now. Before we talk about the outcome of this series, why is Golden State struggling?
Officially or unofficially?
Oh, I'll take either one of those. Let's go unofficial first.
Yeah, I think unofficially. I don't believe the whistle's been that fair, dude. Anybody that's watching these games, and I think it's both ways. I mean, I think if you were going unofficial and you're talking all the conspiracy theory you want, I think this is 100% scripted to be a 7-game series. The NBA is going to make a killing on this series.
Yeah, I really hate the fact that this is, not the finals,
exactly
the Western Conference Finals round. If you ask Steph Curry, he will tell you it's lack of winning execution, lack of their ability to execute in key clutch moments where they always have been. Like when they did in Cleveland, where they were down 3-1 in that series and came back and won. He is overlooking the fact that his team is not nearly as talented as he was with that team, but that is his reasoning is the lack of winning execution. So I agree with that. I think this team is just a little bit more separated. I think the preseason drama is really kind of a big part of it. I think that ripple effect, Draymond Green just leveling Jordan Poole. I mean, there's evidence of it of Draymond Green being on the branch trying to high five everybody, and Poole just walks right by, showing absolutely no respect towards it. And then Steph coming over to try and say, hey, we're a team, get in it, and then he's just not giving that in either. I think Poole's checked out. I think he's doing the best he can, but I definitely think this has ramifications and is affecting team chemistry. Yeah. So.
I mean, and Klay Thompson's really struggling. He's not shooting super efficiently during this playoff series, and he is really important to Golden State's success. The amount of pressure that he takes off of Steph when he's shooting the ball, I mean, even just his season averages. He doesn't got to go, shoot lights out every single night. But if you can be the Klay Thompson that can knock down your season average of 41% or whatever it is from 3, you just suck the defense up that much more. You give Steph room to work. You give Draymond room to set screens. You give Jordan Poole room to work. And you've got to respect that Golden State offense for pretty much everything that they're doing.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. The big thing about it is the Golden State's previous success has been tied to the fact that Klay Thompson has locked down the best perimeter player on defense on the other line. And I just don't think he has the legs for that anymore. So I think that's one thing they really need to try and figure out a way to compensate. But
not to mention a couple bum injuries for him. I'm pretty sure he's had a knee injury, 2 of the last 5 years? Or
yeah, and I think that's really affecting him on the defensive end. So I don't know. I really would love for it to go to Game 7. That would be great because if we had, if the Celtics push their series to a 3-game series, and then we can get,
which I'm calling.
Yep, which you're calling. Then we also have the ability for the Golden State Lakers series to go 7. That'd be awesome. And we still have another series that I think is going to go to Game 7. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and move into the next series, which is going to be Miami versus New York. So Miami leading that series against the Knicks. That series they're leading 3-2. What's your take on that series so far?
Even though the Knicks had a great game yesterday, right? I mean, whenever you end up seeing this, but Game 5.
Right.
The Knicks had a great Game 5. I think that you would be foolish, again, like I've said in many of episodes here, don't bet against Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
He's going to close it out, dude. He's got 2 more chances to win 1 more game.
Speaking of which, so Jimmy Buckets, by the way, is what he's, what it's been coined this playoff series is Jimmy Buckets, which I think is hilarious. So much better than MVP indeed.
MVP Embiid.
Yeah, that's just, come on, guys, you can do better. Anyway, so Jimmy Butler has averaged, believe it or not, 2 blocks and 2 steals per game this series, which I think is insane.
He does it all, dude.
That's insane. But let's give some love to Bam Adebayo. This guy is shooting 50% from the field all series.
Flat out.
Just flat out, all series against the Knicks, he's shooting 50% from the field and averaging 10 rebounds a game. A guy shooting 50% and averaging 10 rebounds, like that's the series MVP right
Pretty
there.
impressive.
I mean, obviously you never want to bet against Jimmy B, but I think Bam has really been the tail of the tape there for sure.
I agree.
Yeah. But okay, so you see that one being closed out tomorrow night's game, right? I think that game's tomorrow night, right?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so that one goes in 6. That is not the one that I think goes 7 games, believe it or not. So I agree with you there. I do think Miami closes this one out.
I think Jimmy B closes it out.
Nice. Jalen Brunson, man, has played pretty well.
Out of this world, dude.
A lot of people were thinking that the Knicks overpaid for him.
No.
My goodness, has that guy proven that not only is he good at regular season, but he actually steps it up just like Luka does in the postseason.
Did you see that move where he cross and then jump and hop steps to the left-handed layup, dude?
Yeah.
The dude's like 6'3".
I know, right?
He's not that big.
No, but he is big.
He's a pretty solid 1-2 guard.
Worth every penny of that signing, if not possibly even underpaid. I think that contract can age very well for New York.
I agree.
All right, so moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the other series I think is going to go 7 games, and that's going to be the Denver versus Phoenix. I still see Denver coming out of this one, but man, Phoenix is making it interesting.
Phoenix is making it interesting, but did you just see that Chris Paul's hurt?
Well, he got hurt a while ago. He had a groin injury.
He's out. Has he not been in the?
I don't think he's been playing. I think he went out game 1 with a groin injury.
The current report is that DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul are both out for game 6. So with that being said, do you still think that this goes 7 games?
No, I do not. DeAndre Ayton, let's talk about DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a key piece to this. He doesn't want to be there.
No.
His team tried to trade him. He doesn't like playing with Chris Paul, doesn't like playing with Devin Booker. If you watch him play, he's just standing around on defense half the time. Not half the time, but when he should be going in for an offensive rebound, he's just standing there watching KD fight for the boards. He's checked out. It's just...
Yeah, he's not super engaged.
No, he doesn't need to have that killer instinct. I mean, he is a 7-footer. He's kind of reminds me a lot of Greg Ostertag in this aspect right now.
Yeah.
Is that he'll ball out his mind for a contract, and then after that, if it's not fun for him, he's just not going to be engaged. And I think that's exactly what's happening. He's not feeling engaged with this team or this series.
And I also think that he is one of those players that wants his own team that he can be the superstar on.
Really? I think he'd prefer just to be a fat paid player who gets to stay in the background and let somebody else take all the...
But if that's the case, then why wouldn't you want to be on this Phoenix Suns team?
Because for 2 seasons they've been trying to trade him, and they didn't want to pay him what he got, and so they felt like they.
But the thing is, dude, is you've got Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. You've got all these players, and all you got to do is go get some rebounds, sit in the background, wait for him to score the basketball.
One of the most hated players in the NBA, in Chris Paul.
I think he might be maybe not a fan favorite. But I think that
No. Players don't like Chris Paul.
He's the president of the NBA Players Association.
Yes, because no one likes him. There's a reason why he's the president. That's the reason why Derek Fisher was the president of the NBA Players Association as well. Because nobody likes him. Ask Patrick Beverley. Nobody likes this guy, but he is perfect. He's the snake in the grass you need to fight for your side.
Right.
So the players don't like Chris Paul. Devin Booker kind of has a little bit of that Trae Young mentality. KD is KD, but he's also like 2 years younger than you. He's getting up there,
Oh, he's 34, so he's 2 years younger than me.
Ha, nailed it. Do you rule out Devin Booker and KD in this scenario? Do you not think they could push Denver to a Game 7?
The fact is Kevin Durant hasn't done anything without the Golden State Warriors ever.
Ooh.
Ever. And Devin Booker has done even less by himself.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything in...
There's not a player on that Phoenix Suns team that's ever accomplished anything.
I don't know. They made it to the conference finals, didn't they?
Yeah, they went to the conference finals last year.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that's not as far as you need to go. That's not the mission, dude. You guys signed Kevin Durant.
Yes, that's true.
Season.
You go to the conference finals, and the next year you don't make it to the conference finals. Yeah, that's a bad look. You can't go.
That Denver team is really, really good.
They are stacked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I agree with you there. While I believe that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have the ability to lead a team to force a Game 7, I don't think it's against this Nuggets team. I just think the Nuggets team is too deep. You've got Jokic, you've got
Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. That's the one I was thinking of. He's the one that's really kind of coming into his own this year. But yeah, so I mean, just those three alone, that's tough to get by.
Well, but I mean, their roster is deeper than that, dude. I mean, they still Aaron Gordon.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they've got a ton of people on that team.
Yeah.
That's the reason they were, I mean, finals favorites this whole season, the number one seed.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. So, what's the likelihood we get the finals that we were thinking of? Boston versus.
Well, I actually called Boston versus Golden State.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You wanted Denver, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I still have a shot.
Yeah, you still got a shot.
You technically still have a shot. You still have a shot.
I got a shot, man.
Won't be the first time they came down from 3-1. So
I got faith in them Warriors, man.
That's right. I have faith in Steph.
Just the playoff experience, dude. I just don't think that Lakers team, and AD is such a baby. I talk about it every time. He was hurt at the end of the last game. He's probable for the next game. He's
playing better than I was expecting him to, though.
Well, but he always does this, though. He'll always have these awesome breakout games, and then when it matters, he's like a magician, bro, because he gone.
Can't handle the pressure, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Not an AD fan.
Definitely not. Okay, so one more thing we talk about the NBA before we go any further. Let's talk about the GOAT. I saw something on Twitter. Let me see if I can get it right here. There's this tweet by Lethal Shooter on Twitter.
You know who that is?
Huh.
Lethal Shooter's like, I looked this guy up because he comments on like every Bleacher Report.
Really?
Yeah, NBA shooting coach, Chris Matthews.
Oh, it's Chris Really?
He's the most sought after shooting coach in the world.
That's who, wow, okay. So anyway, he put on Twitter, Lethal Shooter, he basically settles the GOAT conversation, I think, with what this tweet is. So with the fact that LeBron James could potentially be earning his 6th ring this year and putting himself in contention to be back in the conversation for the GOAT, this tweet I came across really kind of settles this argument. So we actually had some people in the comments saying, okay, well, anybody who hasn't seen Wilt play doesn't really know who the GOAT is. And all due respect, you know what, there is some recency bias to that, so I do agree with you there. But this one really kind of nails it home for me. So let's talk about the GOAT conversation. So according to Lethal Shooter, if you want stats, LeBron James. Statistically, he's going to be the greatest player of all time. If you want rings, it's Bill Russell. If you want MVPs, it's Kareem. If you want records, it's Wilt Chamberlain. If you want impact, that's Steph Curry. If you want clutch, that's Kobe Bryant. And if you want greatness, that's Magic or Bird. So those are all the things he lists. If you want a good slice of all the above, you have the true GOAT of the NBA, Michael Jordan. I think that's probably the best way you can settle that argument right there.
Yeah, that's actually pretty amazing, dude.
Yeah. So thank you, Lethal Shooter, for coming up with that. That's going to be my argument going forward. Whenever anybody talks to me about that, I love that. Let's go ahead and move on into the NFL. So let's first go ahead and get the bad stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about the news. So this is a little bit have to do with not Patrick Mahomes, but something he's probably going to be asked questions about is his kid brother, Jackson Mahomes. He was arrested on 3 counts of aggravated, battery of a restaurant and lounge owner in Kansas. He was released on bail, on a $100,000 bail, and could face up to 55 months in prison.
I think the worst part about this story is that it's going to take football away from someone as great as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and he's going to have to. He's going to get these questions asked, and he's going to have to answer them. We actually have evidence of that in the past when he's been asked about it, because there was a previous altercation, which we'll get to in a minute, where he was dumping water on fans because he didn't like they were trash talking him. And yeah, he had to answer questions back then. You know,
I think that's what I hate more than anything, dude. Because Patrick Mahomes
just came off a Super Bowl win.
he's like the face of the NFL right now.
Not just his team, but the NFL. Exactly.
For good reason.
You know, his wife's annoying on social media, but she's supportive, so you gotta respect that. This kid just,
He's an idiot.
you know what people are referring to him as? Because, you know, like AJ, he's operations manager for so-and-so and so, you know, they say what your job is, right? You know what credit they give this kid?
Huh.
Social media influencer, this kid, right? So we've talked about it on previous episodes.
There's such thing as being a negative influencer.
Yeah, he was a very talented basketball player that could have played in college, had a great college year, maybe could have played professionally somewhere, but chose once his brother was, you know, in the Super Bowl in his second year. You know, he was
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. He decided to ride his coattails and basically give up on actually doing anything with his life and riding the coattails of his brother. Now, you can do that, but by promoting the brand, by Patrick Mahomes' brand, be a publicist, do something like that. But just to simply mooch off your brother's fame to try and create your own clout, it's just ridiculous. I hate that so much with a passion. Like, I probably could rant on forever about it, but just in case you're not familiar, Jackson Mahomes has had several instances. One what we just talked about a minute ago, where he was being heckled by fans, so he took the cap off a water bottle and dumped it all over the fans who were heckling him.
Yeah.
His statement later afterwards says, "Oh, those fans were thirsty, so that's why I did it." And yeah, so which wasn't great. Which is when Patrick Mahomes actually had to come out and say, you know, well, we don't know what was heard. My brother told me what they were calling him, and you know, he does have to be better than that. He shouldn't be doing that, but you know, let's not jump to conclusions. You know, so he said the right things, right? Defended his brother, but also realizing that, you know, there's some information that definitely needs to be taken about. But that's not what really created the media storm behind this kid. So, are you familiar with Sean Taylor?
No.
So he was a safety for the Washington football team, now the Commanders, right? But he was murdered mid-season in 2007, who was shot and murdered in his home. The team retired the number 21 and painted it on a field and then roped it off so it wasn't accessible to any of the players, facility, fans, anything. It's roped off, right? So Jackson Mahomes decided to step over the rope, stand on top of the memorial, the painted his number that was retired, and do a stupid little TikTok dance on the memorial. That right there tells you what kind of kid this is.
That's next level stupid.
Yeah, that's next level
and
stupid.
Disrespectful.
Insanely disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, and then this isn't nearly as bad, but if you watch, we talked about it on previous episodes, if you look in when they're interviewing Patrick Mahomes on field, in the background you can see his brother practicing his TikTok dances on the national broadcast. You know, this kid just doesn't get it, right? So anyway, between that and dumping a bottle of water on Baltimore Ravens fans when the Chiefs lost the game, you know, So he faces up to 55 months in jail. Probably not going to see any of that time. Probably going to be dealt with rehab, community service, that kind of stuff.
Guaranteed. There's a lot of money in that family.
But yeah, so if you've seen the video, you know exactly what he did to that club owner. So yeah, I just really feel bad for Patrick Mahomes because he's gonna have to deal with this. He's gonna answer for it, and yeah, it's not a good look. But anyway, moving on to happier things. Let's talk about the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, so I mean, the NFL draft just got over.
Yep.
Kind of funny, Bill Belichick goes on records to make a comment that he made his draft day move just to ruin the Jets' plan.
Really? Okay.
So, obviously, if you haven't caught up, obviously go back, catch some of our previous videos. And if you haven't been watching news at all, Aaron Rodgers now plays for the Jets.
Yes, in case you've been living underneath a rock.
Yeah. So Bill Belichick makes their draft day move, which is they get the 17th pick from Pittsburgh to pick Christian Gonzalez, who's a cornerback out of Oregon.
Okay.
Apparently there was some rumor that the Jets were interested in him. Bill Belichick goes out of his way to make sure he picks up Christian Gonzalez. Just to ruin the Jets' plans.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the Patriots face the Jets in week 3.
Nice. Circle that one, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Circle that one. That's going to be awesome.
So,
did you hear about the NFL Sunday Ticket? It's going to be exclusive on YouTube TV this year.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be a DirecTV
That's actually
thing.
pretty cool, yeah.
So now it's going to be on YouTube. So the folks that are watching this on YouTube, you can actually sign up for the NFL Sunday Ticket and watch it on YouTube, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
That just proves that the NFL is just ahead of all this stuff, this broadcast stuff.
Yes.
How many people are cutting the cord? How many people have DirecTV simply
for Sunday Ticket?
NFL Sunday Ticket?
Yep.
Probably about half. You could probably raise the rate of the NFL Sunday Ticket, and people will be willing to pay it because that means they don't have to pay another $70 a month for the rest
I've already
of
got
the stuff.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Unless you have to get like YouTube Premium or whatever to do it.
YouTube Premium is like $2. YouTube TV is $40-something a month. So, on top of that, it's still cheaper than DirecTV. So,
yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So
plus, you get the things you want.
Yeah. Good on the NFL for that. I think that's fantastic. Unlimited DVR space. Sorry, this is not a commercial for YouTube. They're not paying us to say all of this. Sorry, business daddy, but, we're spending some time saying hey to you. But yeah, so I think that's fantastic. So great on Bill Belichick. I love it. Staying in the news because, we know the Patriots aren't really relevant. So,
So speaking of the Jets, as we were, funny story, the Jets are currently 0-12 all time against the Eagles. So they get an opportunity to change that in week 6.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts plays against, obviously, the new Aaron Rodgers-led team.
Ooh, that's going to be a fun game. Week 6, huh?
Yeah.
Where are they playing?
I believe that one's at the Eagles.
Yeah, it's in Philly?
I didn't note that, yeah.
Okay. Either way, I think that's going to be pretty fun now.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. Are you expecting a lot of Aaron Rodgers this year? He's got to have a bounce back year, right? It's not going to be as bad as last year.
I think you'll see, if he's going to have a bounce back year, this will be the one.
Yeah.
Especially...
Well, if he doesn't, he probably retires.
Well, and why wouldn't he retire? I mean, he's owed $152 million next year or whatever it is.
That's true. Very, very true. Even if he doesn't retire. Yeah, because his signing bonus was deferred.
Yeah.
It's like he deferred his payroll so they can make some moves.
Yeah, bring some talent in this year.
So next year, he's basically given $150
Yep.
Oh,
and then
man.
the other cool NFL note is Tom Brady's being honored at Gillette Stadium in their home opener for the Patriots.
That is fantastic. What are the odds we see him in a uniform this year?
0.
Do you really believe that?
I believe that. I think he's done.
I agree with you. I think there's a snowball's chance, and you know what, that we might see him in a Dolphins uniform, potentially. But I'm giving that less than 1% chance.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, dude. I think Tom Brady's kind of done.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely done, unless he's got the 2 best receivers in the game and the best offensive line in the game.
Why would you even think about it?
Why would you even think about it?
Yeah.
Unless that's the scenario you're walking into.
Yeah.
Which no team has that right now. So, but yeah, I think that's funny. All right, you got anything else on the NFL?
That's it.
Let's hear about the number 1 overall pick a little bit.
So his first regular season home game is in prime time. Monday Night Football, they're going to host the Panthers. Or the Panthers host the Saints. That's week 2 on Monday Night Football. Bryce Young goes straight into the spotlight on Monday Night Football.
Nice.
So,
well, I guess, you're the quarterback for Alabama. Pretty much going to be the same thing.
I think every game is probably just about as bright as those Monday Night Football lights. You're the quarterback for Alabama.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's nothing new to him. So
yeah.
he'll definitely be okay there. Let's go ahead and quickly cover, now the dust is settled and everybody wasn't drafted, signed contracts and everything like that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the in-state players that got either contracts or got drafted.
Yeah.
So first, let's talk about Kincaid. Obviously, Dalton Kincaid. He was the first one. Was off the board there.
Yeah.
Where did he end up?
So Dalton Kincaid goes number 25 overall, which first round. He goes to the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. Now I remember you predicting he's going to be around 12th or 15th pick. But that's only because we were expecting his position to be drafted much higher than that.
He went. I mean, he was projected to go a little bit sooner. There's
like
actually a really cool video on KSL.com that shows that the Bills posted about their draft pick selection, and they thought he would be off the board before 25.
Okay. He was the first in his position, though, to be drafted.
He was the first tight end in his position to be drafted. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, he gets picked up by the Bills.
The Bills had a good year last year.
The Bills had a really good year.
Yeah,
dude.
so
and, I mean, he gets to go play with, Josh Allen, who's, one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now. Kind of a cool stat. They were in that Bills video. They talk about how Dalton Kincaid had the highest or the best rated hands of any receiver they'd seen in the last 8 years. And he's now got Josh Allen throwing the football to him.
Wow.
In the video they go into a little bit, a lot of NFL analysts weren't suspecting that the Bills took Dalton Kincaid because they had just signed their tight end to like a 4 or 5 or a 3-year deal, I believe. So they just re-signed their tight end. But he's more of like
a death piece, right?
No, Dalton Kincaid, they're going to use more as like a line up and go run routes kind of guy. The tight end that they currently have is more of like a block first, kind of pass second kind of guy.
Like a hybrid receiver kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dalton Kincaid is a go out and catch the football kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the ball anywhere near him and he's catching it.
Yeah, you watch that guy play. There's no arguing that point. Okay, great. So Dalton Kincaid, number 25 overall to the Bills. Who else we got?
Clark Phillips III goes 113 overall to the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
Which is, a great spot for Clark Phillips, dude. He is such a talented cornerback. I think he was really overlooked. A lot of times they were saying he could be a first-round pick. I think going to the 4th round, he kind of he got a little bit gypped. Clark Phillips is a really, really talented guy. He's a little bit undersized.
I think the 4th round they still get like 6 figures guaranteed though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's not hurting.
Yeah.
It's a big step up.
And he'll be just fine. All he's got to do is get an opportunity to be on the field, and he'll show that he can help.
Absolutely.
Make that Atlanta Falcons team much better.
Absolutely.
And then 5 picks later, Braden Daniels from the Utes goes 118th overall to the Washington Commanders.
Nice. Nice.
Which he's a big blocking guy. Mm-hmm. Braden Daniels is super talented. He was really fun to watch at Utah this year.
Awesome.
And then after the draft is over, Mohamed Diabate gets signed as an undrafted free agent. So.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into Major League Baseball. So let's go ahead and talk about, honestly, when we first started this podcast and baseball was coming around after the WBC, I did not realize that we were going to be talking about this team this much. The freaking Oakland A's are back in the news again.
Yes.
So one of the worst teams in baseball. Actually, I think, the worst team in baseball.
I'm pretty sure by a long shot, too.
Yeah, based off of what I'm going to talk about here, they definitely are the worst team in baseball. But let's go ahead and first talk about the fact that they're on the move again. Spoiler alert, they're staying in Vegas. So anybody freaking out, they're staying in Vegas. Good news is they're not taking out the In-N-Out burger that they originally were going to take out.
Because that would be absolutely offensive.
That would be. You don't
In-N-Out
take out
burger stays.
Yes, that's got to stay. But now they're knocking down the Tropicana.
I saw this.
They're knocking down one of the most historic casinos there. To basically what they're doing, the reason why they're moving is this: it saves them several $100 million when it comes to public funding that they're going to need.
$105 million to be exact.
Okay, $105 million, perfect. So now they're seeking 500. They were seeking 500 million in public funding, and now it's 395.
Yep,
okay.
395 million.
So, which is great. So again, they just switching the site location to save 105 million. That's really the news when it comes to that. They're not moving to a different town or anything like that.
Yeah.
They still plan on being in Vegas. They're just gonna be down the street a little bit.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And one thing to note is the A's haven't even presented a concrete proposal so far to the lawmakers of Nevada.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that. This is just some of the things that are kind of being discussed.
There's a good possibility that the A's don't even move.
Yeah, the Oakland Coliseum. that lease expires in 2024. So they could always move to Las Vegas and then obviously play in a AAA stadium or something for a couple of years. With the proposed opening date of that new stadium being in 2027.
Yeah, they can do that. They can do that funky thing where they use an NFL stadium and just.
Oh, I hate watching that, dude.
I hate watching that.
It's
too.
insulting. Please don't do that.
I believe one of our commenters actually mentioned the fact that they could probably just go play across the bay in San Francisco and play in San Francisco for a couple of years. Honestly, I think the most likely thing they're going to do is they're going to renew a short-term lease with the Oakland Coliseum to get them to the point where they can build Vegas until 2027 when the Vegas stadium is proposed to be done.
I know we had a comment asking, and I hadn't quite researched it yet, We had a comment asked saying that the Oakland Coliseum wasn't that old. Do you know how old that stadium is?
How old?
It was built in 1966.
Okay, I was gonna say early 70s. So,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, do you know how old Dodger Stadium is?
Well, I mean, it's older than that, but 66 is still crazy old, dude.
I guess. My best shot is I think they're just gonna renew it for a couple of years. Try and figure out a way to kick out the Possums. Maybe,
Pretty sure you could probably hire a pest company to get rid of the Possums.
Foreclosing our lease due to lack of payment, and then, just get the team to stay there for a couple more years. But that's not the only reason why the A's are in the news this week. Have you heard about this?
I've heard they have been absolutely atrocious.
Okay, so not this weekend, because we're filming this a little later than we would normally like to, but last weekend was the first for the A's this year. It's the first time last weekend, and it happened back-to-back, that an Oakland A's starter got the win, which means they went 5 innings and had the lead, and then Oakland won the game.
Oh, I gotcha.
So that happened for the first time 5 weeks into the season.
That's painful, dude.
Yeah.
They beat the Royals 5-4 on May 6th.
Okay.
And then they lose 4 in a row. 5-1 to the Royals, 7-2, 10-5, and 11-3, all to the Yankees.
Which is actually impressive because the Yankees are in last place in their division too. So,
But the Yankees are in a tougher division than the
yes,
Oakland Athletics are.
Yeah, it's very, very good point. Very, very good point.
Yeah.
At least the Yankees have an excuse for why they're so bad.
But I
right
mean,
now.
they kind of got rocked, dude. 7-2, 10-5,
Oh, yeah.
11-3, all of the Yankees.
Before that, you talk about the Royals. Talk about a series that nobody cares about. Those are like 2 of the bottom feeder teams in the American League. But yeah, so those are the pieces about the A's that we can move on. Now let's go ahead and bring it back to our old friend, the pitch clock.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to talk about it. Every episode is the pitch clock. Now, this is one of the great traditions of Major League Baseball. It happens at least once a year where there's a story about this, but it's called a National Anthem Standoff. Now, why don't you tell the fine folks what that is?
So National Anthem Standoff begins when 2 players on opposite sides of the field proceed to not leave the field after the National Anthem is over.
They do not move. They
don't
literally
move.
stand there with their hand over their heart, and they stay in that position.
So the 2 players in this last one, they described the situation as, I looked across the field, saw he was looking at me, he gave me a grin, and it was on.
So it wasn't even planned. That's fantastic.
Yeah, not planned at all.
I love it. So the 2 players were Cutter Crawford, and who's a reliever for the Red Sox, and Matt Strom, who is a left-handed starter for the Philadelphia Phillies.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much the anthem went on. Everyone leaves the field. These 2 continue to stand there. The umpires obviously come up because they're trying to start the baseball game.
Yep.
And tell them they need to go to the field.
Okay, that's called the warning.
Yeah,
so they're giving a warning.
They receive their warning. The standoff ensues.
Yes, so this is where the pitch clock comes in, because they have a 30-second time from when play ball is announced to where the batter has to be in the batter's box.
Since neither one of them left the field, the pitch clock, they cannot start the pitch clock yet.
Yeah.
The pitch clock expires, and they are both ejected.
Oh, gosh. So yeah, I think that's probably a first. Not only did they get ejected, but MLB has also fined both of them as well.
Which is really funny. Did you know that Matt Strom didn't even know he was ejected?
No, really?
Yeah, like he's still hanging out in the dugout. Like, no, dude, you're done. They ejected you. And he's like, what?
I mean, he wasn't obviously playing. He's a starting pitcher, so he wasn't going to play that game anyway. But yeah, I find that just to be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, so with the MLB new pitch clock requirements, umpires had to eject both players after receiving a warning, and they were both thrown out when they didn't go back to their respective dugouts, according to Major League Baseball. Fantastic. Absolutely love the story. That's what makes baseball great. This happens in other sports too. This is not just a baseball thing. However, it's definitely more prevalent in baseball when this kind of thing happens.
And it's just legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's going down in history, so absolutely love it. You got anything else on Major League Baseball?
I just had, a couple updates on kind of rule changes.
Okay.
So did you see that the stolen base attempts, the stat on stolen base attempts since the updated rule changes?
I think we looked at it 2 weeks. It was up 75%. I don't know where it's at now.
So right now the MLB is on pace for 4,360 stolen base attempts this year.
Okay. That sounds like a lot.
And that would equal out to 3,427 stolen bases. This is the most attempts since 2011.
Really?
Yeah. And the most successful base steals, if it stays on trend,
Right.
since 1987.
Oh my gosh.
I love the rule change, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone loves watching stolen bases.
So when baseball purists are going to come out in droves about this, like, oh, this is going to blah, 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 this messes with the records of most stolen bases in a season, like Ricky Henderson, who leads the league in stolen bases over his career.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think the trade-off is worth it?
I think that the pace of play in the MLB is the best possible thing for the game. And all of these little minor adjustments with stolen bases and that kind of stuff is great for the game of baseball. This is what people want to come to see. They don't want to sit around, you know what I mean, and watch 12 seconds between a pitch. You know, it's down like 5 to 8 seconds between pitches now. Like, the game is much more exciting to watch. You can get in there, watch a baseball game, get home.
Okay, so we talked in a previous video about MLB expansion. We talked in great detail about that, about the potential for 2 more teams being added. The only issue was, 1, the Oakland A's being relocated. That's been squared away.
Yep.
The A's are probably going to be going to Vegas, more than likely. The other team was the Tampa Bay Rays, right? That was the other team that was still in talks about trying to figure out a situation. So Orlando is now coming out and saying, okay, what we're going to do is we are going to build a stadium. Now, this is according to SportsIllustrated.com, a group led by Pat Williams, co-founder of the Orlando Magic, revealed on May 9th their proposal for a $1.7 billion stadium to lure the Tampa Bay Rays or an expansion team to the area.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I hate the idea because I'd much rather a team come to beautiful Salt Lake City. But
Well, I actually don't think this hurts Salt Lake's chances.
Tampa Bay could potentially already stay anyway.
Yeah, I think what happens is the Tampa Bay Rays relocates to Orlando, which takes a city out of contention. With the Tampa Bay Rays potentially moving to Orlando, which is only 100 miles away from the proposed location, that still leaves 2 expansion teams. Orlando's out, Vegas is out. Utah is still one of the top 2 teams on betting odds for MLB expansion teams.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a win-win. However, I don't like their name. Have you heard of their name?
No.
So the name's going to be, the team has dubbed their name the Orlando Dreamers.
That is absolutely terrible.
That is absolutely terrible. Orlando Magic, Orlando Dreamers, you know.
It doesn't get much worse than that.
No, that's a terrible name for a team.
Yeah.
But some renderings, we'll throw this up here, some B-roll footage here of what the rendering looks like, just so you can kind of see it. That's what the rendering of the stadium looks like.
The stadium looks amazing.
The stadium looks amazing. It's
Check out the comments down below. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Please comment down below what you think of the stadium. And this is actually going to be what it looks like on the outside of the stadium.
Dude, that is actually really super cool.
So you got this patio and everything, and the stadium's going to be back there. And everybody can like do a little picnic with a giant jumbotron right there. 4 levels of viewing. Yeah, so
Really cool.
it's going to look fantastic. So while the team is a terrible name, I really love the idea of relocating the Rays there. And then you still have Memphis and Utah as the 2 front runners to get an expansion.
Go to Salt Lake City. We need one.
Absolutely. I think Utah's got the best bid for one. So there were comments in comments in previous videos we talked about that where they're like, oh, what about San Antonio? While I think that's a good one, they already have 2 baseball teams in the state of Texas already, in the Rangers and the Astros. So I don't really see that one being viable. I think Salt Lake's shot's about as good as ever. So
Yep.
once again, folks, if you are watching this on YouTube, keep in mind the full episode will be available in podcast form underneath YouTube playlists, podcasts on our channel, and also in audio form wherever you find your podcasts.
Yep. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, share it if you do like the content, subscribe. Definitely keep commenting. We love interacting with you guys.
It's been great. We try to get back to every comment, so if you haven't had a response yet, we'll get
It's
to
coming.
it. We'll get to
It's
you
coming,
there.
I promise.
We appreciate it. So once again, all folks, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the engagement and the continued growth of this channel. We're really enjoying it quite a bit, so appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, folks, my name is Darren. That is AJ. And this has been the DNA Sports Recap.
Until next time.